Hi, everyone. This is Waleuska Lazo, and I am the founder of the Gratitude Experiment, or FMTG as we call it, and that stands for 5 Minutes to Gratefulness. And I have with me one of the FMTG students all the way from the UK, Debbie Percy, and she's an independent distributor for Synergy Health Food Supplements. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. Lovely to be on and to see you in person almost.
Yes. Debbie, we're going to be talking about the impact that FMTG has had on your life. And one of the wonderful quotes that I have here, I'm going to read it because it's a great segue into what we will be discussing today. And I guess you were referring to a specific lesson in the course, but you said, "This lesson is one of the most powerful I have read. I wish every word in today's lesson was a compulsory curriculum at schools all over the globe. I too believe in epigenetics and actually provide people with a way to get to know their genes. As I like to say, our genes load the gun and our lifestyle pulls the trigger. We are what we absorb, not what we inherit." And I think that's a beautiful segue, because gratitude is, for me, that number one ingredient to be able to change our genetics from the inside out. And now we get to be in a position of power, because for a long time we were taught that we had no choice. If our parents had cancer, we were going to develop cancer. If they had diabetics, we were going to become a diabetic. And now we know that that's not true, right? That a lot of our genes are determined by the environment, and now we have the tools and the power to change our environment from the inside, to tell our genes which ones we want to keep and which ones we want to develop. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, lovely. Well, the lesson you were referring to was and is still a very profound lesson, because I think it brings the one that I wrote that quote in response to was probably linked to doing work with your inner child. And I've had a personal journey, as a lot of people have, to get to 55 and be reasonably functioning, still have some little dysfunctions here and there, but those early years that you've talked about in your FMTG program, those first 7 to 9 years, are very formative in terms of our beliefs, our thought patterns, our emotions, the choices and decisions we then make later on in life. And all of that then, of course, ends up showing up in our lifestyle, whether we choose to drink, whether we choose to smoke, how much sleep we get, how much abuse we put our bodies through, and of course our capability of handling stress. And I don't just mean anxiety and worry, but internal stress in terms of the body's ability to excrete pollutants, toxins that come from smoking, that come from air pollution, that come from drinking alcohol, that come from processed foods, too much sugar, the things that we sort of inherently know today are bad for us. But nonetheless, for various reasons, many of us still incorporate those into our lives. So when you do work with your inner child, which your program orchestrates and guides you to do in a very, very encouraging and careful way, so that it's up to you how many layers you reveal to yourself in one go, because it can be a bit overwhelming, a bit daunting. When you do that work, you are really truly putting health and wellness into the palm of your hand. As you say, we grow up thinking we'll naturally inherit whatever our parents have had disease-wise, or our grandparents. That's not true. Bruce Lipton and his book, Biology of Beliefs, threw that argument out a long time ago. But it's not just those beliefs that we have. We know from a lot of work that scientists and metaphysicians do that, our cells have memories, and our cells nudge the cells next to them and transport those memories. And so our bodies are not just about the food we eat and the lifestyle, but it's about how we manage those emotional memories and the storing of that emotional energy, and where that goes and how and when you release it. So to think that children today are brought up without some sort of awareness and education around what wellness really is, because it is truly mind, cell, epigenetics, body, lifestyle, it's all of those things, it's a great shame and such a loss, because we can take control of our wellness. That health journey or the journey back to health, if we're not in a good place at the moment, is without doubt something we can control. And we don't need to feel victims to our past or our ancestors. We don't need to feel that we're sort of some helpless victim waiting for the miracle doctors and nurses to come and prescribe and diagnose, and then the disappointment if that doesn't cure us. There are so many things that we can do, starting with our emotional work, being grateful for those past experiences and being grateful for what our ancestors have passed on, and being grateful for troubles that we faced in the first 9 years of our lives. Having an ability to respond to all of that in a healthy, compassionate, calm way. That, for me, what I got out of your program in some of those early lessons in week 3 in particular, was that realization that actually detaching yourself a little bit is so healthy to avoid feeling like a victim. Sometimes we don't want to go back and revisit the past because it was overwhelming emotionally and it was full of fear perhaps and trauma. But actually, if you can be detached from that and look at it with an awareness and an observation and a gratitude mindset that says, I'm so grateful that that happened. Now let me be really clear about why I'm grateful. What has that enabled me nowadays to see or to have the capability to do, whether it's resilience or whether it's tenacity or determination or, just pat on the back because I've survived and I'm still here.
Yes.
That gratitude, I think has a life force of its own.
Yes, I agree completely. And that's exactly what you are able to do when you adopt gratitude in your life. Your whole mindset shifts, right? You can go back to the past, not to be stuck in it and relive every painful situation. You're going back, to look at it with new eyes, with new heart. And the whole goal of FMTG is to allow you to change, not the event, because you can't change it, but to change the emotion that you have attached to that specific memory. So it does not continue to control your life. And now you come from a place of empowerment, not victimhood.
Yes, exactly.
We are not victims.
Yeah, and it is such an important first step to regaining health.
Absolutely.
Mental health.
You can't heal your life unless you're willing to go within and start, releasing all the trapped emotions that you have stuck at the cellular level. And you can't go and heal your life unless you're willing to forgive, to accept yourself, to surrender things that you can't control. So it's a whole process of layers and layers of healing, but it is possible and we are all doing it.
And I do think, Waleuska, that it's a little bit like, Esther Hicks talks about getting on the vortex and the momentum and making sure that momentum's going in the direction that's helpful for what you want to attract more of to your life and be grateful for. And I do think, as easy as it is to spiral down and misery begats misery and we go and seek out other people who are having a rotten day and then that helps us feel better. Equally, the reverse is true. Once you step onto this spiral of feeling grateful and being aware of all the things to be grateful about, then that starts to expand in its energy force, and that upward spiral becomes quite immense, actually.
It's funny you say that. I have a quote here that says, when we focus our gratitude, the tide of disappointment goes out and the tide of love rushes in. Because that's exactly what happens. If you're in a state of anger, your body now tells your brain to go and create more chemicals to match the very emotions that you're having. So it makes you, more sad. You start to think about every conceivable thing that has hurt you. But the same, the same is true of when you are feeling grateful for something or love or kindness, compassion. Now your brain starts to create more chemicals to match the very emotion you're having. So it's a beautiful circle. One way or another, you have the control of which way you want to go.
Yeah. And as an example of that, it was only this week, and I can't remember which day, it might have been Wednesday or Thursday, the day where we were looking through your program at, being more of the person you want to be, and really thinking and getting specific about the qualities of that person that you want to be. And it was so synchronistic, which of course it always is when you're on the right path, because that very day something unpleasant was brewing in my close family, a little family feud that is unpleasant and is going to, you know, involve solicitors and lawyers and various things like that. And it was one of those moments where I felt myself early in the first couple of hours of the morning really dropping, and my mood dropping, and my confidence dropping, and my worry rising, and I just stopped for a moment and thought, actually, hang on, the answer is in today's lesson. All I have to do is focus on being what I want to be, choosing my response, not being a victim, not feeling a pity party, or not dwelling. And it was just so extraordinarily powerful to have that extra tool in your kit.
Yes.
Say, right now, right here today, the answer has presented itself to today's problem.
Absolutely. It just makes you realize that, you know, we are going to get hit by challenges. That's life. We can't escape that we have the power of how we're going to react, you know, every time. And I do love that lesson, you know, planning the person you're going to be, because once you create the blueprint of the life you want to have, you know, I always tell everyone, your brain goes to work. It will find the means, it will find the people, the opportunities to match, you know, whatever blueprint you're given it. And it just gives you, it makes you feel that you're so much more empowered, where you now are, you know, you're not just going out there randomly hoping that something good is going to happen in your life. No, you actively creating. You are a co-creator with the universe. I say I have a group called Co-Creating with the Universe, because that is exactly what happens, right? We have the choice to wake up in the morning and either be miserable or be grateful. So why not choose gratitude?
I completely agree. I'm a massive believer in you create your own reality. But I'm also aware that, you know, we're all human, and programs like your program props you up and supports you. And you know, in a 28-day period, I know I've had 2 days where I felt that downward spiral. And thank goodness FMTG was there, because like my backbone, it just held me up, and I just went to it. And that was my resource of the day that got me through it. And you know, and again, back to why I wish it was part of standard curriculum for all countries, all education establishments, you know, for youngsters, teenagers, because to have that self-help opportunity is, I mean, it's not enough to say how grateful you are for it. That doesn't cut it.
Yeah, it is beautiful. And, you know, that's one of my goals, to, you know, have FMTG obviously reach as many homes in the world as possible, especially teens, because I always tell my girls, if I knew then what I know today, oh my God, where would my life be? And obviously, you know, I had to go through the painful circumstances and experiences to get to where I am. You can't bypass, you know, your painful experiences, because then you don't get to the light. But if I could have known even a little bit of what FMTG is doing in my life today and in the lives of many other people, you know, I think I would have been able to be a lot more resilient and cope with the world a lot quicker. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to spiral down. You know, it happens to the best of us. You know, there are days that you wake up and you're like, the whole world feels, you know, that you're carrying the world on your shoulders. But what FMTG has done is that it shortens the amount of time that you spend, you know, in that low place. So when you're spiraling down, now you also have the memory muscle to get yourself very quickly out of that space, because you know to ask the right questions, to ask empowering questions. You know, what is this here to teach me? What flashlight is it putting on me that I still need to work through, right? And when you start to ask those questions from a grateful standpoint, you know, you're not longer the victim. You are responsible for everything.
Completely agree.
Amazing. And Debbie, if someone was watching this and they have no clue what FMTG is, or, you know, the course, what would you tell them? What would they spend 28 days, 5 minutes a day doing this?
Well, that's the first thing I'd say is the time flies by. It doesn't feel like 28 days.
Right.
And then I think I would say it's a structured program that you guide yourself through, you take yourself through, but it's very well orchestrated and guided for you. So, you know, you can't go wrong in it. You can't make a U-turn or a bad turn. You go at your pace, even though you provide the guidance, but it's a pragmatic program with constructive tips for finding answers to questions, including your purpose, why you have certain patterns and habits in your life, that promote your healing and promote your restoration of faith in yourself and confidence. I think it's a massive confidence booster. But I think it's a program it's a healing program. There's no doubt in my mind. It's about healing emotionally at a cellular level, and therefore physically. I think, you end a day or a week, and it'll be different for each participant, which day and which week, but with a bigger spring in your step, and a little bit a lighterness. Does that word exist? A light-heartedness, that's probably better English, that perhaps you wouldn't have had, at the beginning of the program or before taking the program.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And for those of you watching, if you are interested in taking a course, it runs every 6 weeks. You can always find me at waleuskalazzo.com/The Gratitude Experiment, no spaces. And I welcome each one of you to take a chance and, transform your life. If you want to, live a life that is happier and calmer, this course is for you. And like I said, you're all welcome to join me. Thank you. Thank you so much, Debbie.
Oh, you're welcome. Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Been a real joy and a gift. Thank you.